Tyres and wheels have been getting wider over the last few years, especially on gravel bikes, but even on road bikes. But today, Zipp has upped the ante with its brand new XPLR wheel set. These have a whopping 32mm internal rim width and a 40mm external rim width, so simply massive. And I've been riding for the last 3 days on a Canyon Grail with a brand new Zipp Goodyear 40mm wide slick tyre. There's also a 45 inter tyre as well. So I'll share my impressions of these new wheels and tyres, but first let's hear from the product manager behind these new wheels and tyres and find out why they've gone so wide and what the benefits are of a wider rim for us gravel cyclists. So we're here with some brand new wheels and tyres, a lot to dive into. Can we start with talking about what's the benefit of a wide rim? What's the purpose of going wider? Because these are wide, aren't they?
Absolutely. Yeah, so what we're looking at here is the new Zipp 303 Explorer SW.
Yep.
It is our purpose-built gravel wheel, and as you noted, it's extremely wide. The whole point of that is, first, we chose which gravel tire sizes we thought were appropriate for gravel, and then we built and designed a rim behind the tire.
Okay.
So we go wide for two main reasons. One is to make a perfect aerodynamic complement between the rim and the tire.
Yep.
So that transition is really smooth to allow airflow to reattach when it's going from the rim to tire or tire to rim. So this is going to reduce aerodynamic drag and help you go faster at any gravel speeds.
So the rim is essentially the same width of the tyre here, it's like it's smooth.
Yeah, so the external width of this rim is 40mm. It is a really nice seamless surface. If you go with our slick gravel tire, it's an exact match.
Which is 40.
So 40, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It label size is 40, it measures 40mm on this wheel. So aerodynamics is the first big one. That's gonna, with gravel speeds and races getting faster and faster, now it's very common to see the average racing speeds above 32 kilometers an hour, 20 miles an hour. And at that point, aerodynamics becomes really important to helping you go faster.
It's funny because when aero gravel first came out, I remember 3T Explorer, people were like, you don't need aero and gravel.
Yeah.
But now we're seeing on bounds like 20, 22 miles an hour average, which is nuts.
Yeah, that's for 9-10 hours.
Yeah.
So
aero on gravel does matter.
Yeah, and for that length of event, small aero advantages will stack up and add up at the end of the event to really make a big difference. Aerodynamics is the first main point of why we went wide with this wheel. The second main point is all in an attempt to reduce the amount of energy it takes to traverse rough surfaces. So we call that vibration loss, and that's all the energy you lose to getting bumped up and down and lifted over all the rocks in different rough things in your way. So all of your viewers probably know about Paris-Roubaix, super famous bike race with pave, cobbles, and asphalt. And the power it takes those riders to go 32 kilometers an hour on asphalt is roughly half of what it takes them to go the same speed on cobble. Wow. And the only thing that is driving that discrepancy is vibration loss. So that doubling of power is just because they're experiencing a lot of wasted energy to vibration loss. And the way to combat that is to lower tire pressure. So this wheel is wide to allow you to run as low of a tire pressure as possible and still have a tire that you can corner on. And there are some other features about the wheel that help prevent pinch flats even when you're running lower pressure. So wide is for aero and it's for low pressure, as low as you can go and still have a controllable bike.
Yeah. I guess for pros, aero matters because they're racing at high speeds these days, but for mere mortals like me, aero is less important. But it still matters. But I guess the benefits of that, that speed over rough grounds, cobbles, gravel is more important, more useful.
Well, I would say, depending on the length of your event, if you're going slower, yes, the magnitude of savings from aerodynamic equipment is a smaller magnitude, but the overall time savings actually is greater for slower riders because they're out on course longer. So even if you're saving 2 watts instead of 4 watts, if you're out on course 30% longer, that 2 watts ends up adding up quite a bit. But yeah, for everyday riders, the comfort and the control and the speed that's coming from lower pressures is something that we're trying to promote quite a bit, and it's all new science that we're researching and developing for our new 303 Explorer.
Okay, so the rims are 40mm on the outside, 32 on the inside?
Yes.
So what's the goal to make, do you start with the outside width and then the inside width is just a result of how thick the walls are, or do you start on the internal width and go outwards?
Correct. So first we started with the external width of the rim to make a complement for the tire aerodynamically. And then, beyond that, we're getting the internal as wide as possible. Wider internal rim width puts the tire in a wider athletic stance, so the beads are pushed out wider, which helps support lateral loads when you're cornering.
Okay.
So if that tire is put in a wider stance, you can lower your pressure and you won't feel tire squirm, or you won't feel the tire buckling or folding under you. And what we've seen is, compared to a more traditional gravel wheel that's a narrower internal width, these tires can support over half a bar, or about 7 to 8 psi lower pressure, and still feel the equivalent amount of control and handling.
So because they're that wide, you can go to low pressure with no downside.
Correct. Yeah.
Essentially.
Yes.
And I mean, that's way wider than anything else in the market right now, as far as I know. And I guess it's mountain bike sort of territory in terms of width.
Yeah, it's wider than the standard 30 millimeters for a lot of cross country wheels.
Yeah, which is nuts. Shows how far tires and wheels have come in a few short years.
Yeah, and the reason is we had a purpose in mind. It wasn't that we were choosing what everyone else is doing for rim width. We were trying to achieve maximum speed, and this is the resulting design to make the fastest gravel wheel for everybody.
Okay. And they are hookless?
They're hookless, yes.
You still believe in hookless benefits? There's no kind of swaying from that?
No, absolutely.
Path?
Hookless makes sense, especially for larger tires at lower pressures.
Okay.
It's absolutely the best way to go.
Have you made the sidewalls kind of thicker with that?
So I mentioned there are some aspects of this design that help facilitate lower pressures, and one of the things we've done is the straight sides, or the vertical hookless walls of the tire bed are almost twice as thick as our 303 Firecrest or other hookless wheels that we make. And the purpose of making that straight side wider, thicker, is to create a nice flat platform for if you do bottom out the tire, that will support the rubber and casing on the tire to prevent a pinch flat.
And a more robust, stronger wheel as well.
Yeah, so that added thickness on the straight wall, of course, will add more support and stiffness and strength to the rim itself.
Because the riding we've been doing here in Austria and Germany has been quite technical in places and rough.
Yeah,
and the wheels handle it just fine.
Some of these peaks have been really, truly mountain bike terrain with nasty, sharp rocks and everything. And I wouldn't advocate for lowering your pressure so that you're bottoming out the rim consistently. But in the off chance that does happen, if you have a really hard hit, we've designed the wheel to support the tire so that you don't end up with a pinch flat.
Okay. Does more width mean more weight? Are these heavy?
So it depends on what you compare it to. If you compare this to our 303, the 303 Firecrest, which would be the equivalent price point, I think these are just about 100 grams, a little less than 100 grams heavier per wheel set.
Okay.
But they're quite a bit bigger.
Yeah.
Compared to our 404, which is much narrower and a little bit deeper, the 404s are maybe 20 to 30 grams lighter. So it's almost the same weight as our 404. It's maybe 100 grams or less heavier than the 303. It's not a heavy wheel. The whole wheel set comes in at under 1,500 grams. And for a 54 millimeter deep, 40 millimeter wide rim, I feel like that's quite impressive.
Okay. Also got new tyres. We've got the Inter and the slick tyre.
Yes.
Can you run avatars on these wheels?
Yeah, so
they're tubeless compatible, hookless compatible, that's all fine?
These wheels require riders to use tires that are listed on Zipp's compatibility chart for this product.
You can't just go and get any tyre and put it on. You have to check this list to make sure it's compatible.
Correct, yeah. We've been working with specific tire brands to validate their tire models with this wheel.
Okay.
Because the ISO recommended size for this wheel is quite large, actually. The rim itself conforms to ISO dimensional standards, but the ISO recommended tire sizes range from 58 millimeters to 84 millimeters,
58, okay.
which is huge.
Yeah.
We wouldn't recommend those for gravel use. What we're recommending are 40 to 60 millimeter tires. And because our recommendations fall outside of the ISO recommendations, we're doing a one-to-one validation for each model that we list as compatible on our website. And that process is we contact the tire manufacturer, we explain the rim to them, we ask for tires from them, we test each tire model in our lab to verify the tire retention. We send our 303 Explorer wheels to the tire manufacturer. They repeat similar tests on their end to verify that they're satisfied with the retention and performance of the model. And then once each company agrees that these tires belong on this wheel, it goes on our compatibility chart.
Okay.
And so that compatibility chart will be available if you buy a new set of wheels. We have a conspicuous orange sticker.
Okay, yes.
The QR code will get you to product registration, which also directs you to the tire compatibility chart. This will be available, the chart will also be available on the product page online, and we're we have a team of what we call field guides working throughout North America and Europe, whose job it is to go and educate bike shops and mechanics about this compatibility.
Are you worried it might lead to confusion in the market, because there are compatibility issues with tyres and hookless and tubeless as it is anyway?
Yeah.
Or do you think the ISO standard is not fit for purpose?
I think that what we're doing is reaching out to the customer in every way possible, on the website, on the product registration, and in the shops.
Yeah.
And one of those three ways, the information will get there, but they do need to use tires that are listed as compatible.
And you're happy that those tyres are safe on these wheels, even though they don't conform to the ISO standard?
Absolutely. So really, our biggest concern with these is the performance and how they handle and ride. The retention has never really been in question for the maximum system pressures that are established for this wheel, and the pressures we're recommending are less than half of what the maximum allowable is.
Okay. We have new tyres as well. Should we talk about those? So Goodyear, is that just a brand new exercise, or have you developed these in collaboration with Goodyear, and was it part of the package, or they designed?
Yeah, so one thing that we wanted to make sure is we had a complete system. If you want the optimum performance out of these wheels, we have co-developed two different tires with Goodyear. The Goodyear XPLR Inter, which is a 45 millimeter mixed use,
this one here.
Yeah, dry wet tire, and then a 40 millimeter Goodyear XPLR Slick, which is a dry fast race tire with a slick center and slight knobs on the edges. And yeah, the whole point is to make the optimum system where the 40 millimeter tire blends perfectly. The 45 millimeter tire is a really good aerodynamic match. And it was a nice co-development with a company that is really fun to work with.
So that work together is that aero, that's the main sort of benefit of designing the rim and tyre together.
It's
that interface between
mostly
the two.
the aero, and then also making sure that the tread profile and the casing profile of the tire are really perfect for the width of the rim.
And I mean, gravel changing rapidly with tyre width especially, and I know that on Bound there's some very wide tyres, mountain bike tyres. So 40, 45, will we be launching wider tyres in the future? Do you think that's wide enough for the market right now?
Yeah, it's been fun watching the progression of gravel and seeing some differentiation between North American and European gravel. And in North America, the riders and racers are very progressive. Like you mentioned, we've seen several of the pros at Unbound running literal mountain bike tires.
Yeah.
And so this wheel offers aero benefits and lower pressure vibration loss benefits for any tire you put on it, relative to more traditional gravel wheels on the market that are narrower internal, narrower external. So we're doing our best to stay abreast of the gravel trends, and I'm actually pretty excited about some of the big tires. Right now, I think that this is a really good wheel position in the market, and we'll just have to check and see where it goes.
You could put a mountain bike tyre on here, quite happy then.
You physically could, but it would have to be listed on our compatibility chart.
Okay, I'll have to check that then. We have SW, that's new, isn't it? What's that all about then?
Yeah, so this
SW.
is
We've got dimples here as well.
Yeah, so the SW right now is our premier gravel set. It's priced at $2,100 US or 1,800 euros. And then we also have a lower price point option, that's the 303 XPLR S.
Okay, so SW.
Yeah, so
SW.
S is the entry level ticket to speed. SW is our lighter, more premier. It features the dimples on the outside, whereas the SW is a little bit heavier and doesn't have any dimples. It's a smooth side. Otherwise, the rim shapes, like the macro rim shape of the S and SW, are identical. The tire beds are identical, so you'll get the same low pressure vibration loss benefits and the aero benefits on the S.
Okay, so okay, yeah, cool. So yeah, same width then, just the dimples and the weight are different.
Correct.
And the weight, is that in the hubs, spokes, or the rim?
It's a combination of everything.
Okay.
So the rim is a little bit heavier. We use slightly heavier spokes, slightly heavier hub. It's everything together. And
Cool.
the S comes in around 168 grams heavier for the set.
Okay.
So 1668 for the S level, and then just under 1,500 grams for the SW.
Do you expect to see other wheel brands sort of follow suit with this going wider?
I do, and we've seen some recent introductions from some of our competitors that are clever. I think that this design has a lot of advantages over what they're offering, but people are starting to see, we're converging on similar solutions.
sorry. So I've been riding the brand new wheels and tyres across Austria and into Germany on some amazing, spectacular gravel, amazing trails, amazing landscape to test the brand new SRAM Red XPLR gravel bike group set on this lovely Canyon Grail CF SLX. And the wheels and tyres have really impressed. The benefits of the wide rim and that wide tyre is a tyre that's fully supported when you're running super low pressures and slamming the bike into rocky trails and really cornering hard. The tyre isn't squirming on a rim at all. It feels really stable and really secure and doesn't have that flop you sometimes get with a wide tyre on a narrow rim when you're really pushing the limits on a gravel bike. So that sort of reassuring feeling when you are really going hammer and tongs is a really nice aspect of the width of the rims with the tyres on. These slick tyres are bloody quick and they're similar to a Schwalbe G1 RS. In a straight line on smooth gravel, they are rapid and as quick as any good road tyre. Thankfully, we have some sort of shoulder tread action for when you are leaning into the corners, but very much a dry conditions, hard packed trail tyre. The downside to these is when you are riding on loose gravel and you're going downhill and you're braking for a corner, slowing down is quite tricky because there's not much braking traction. So I think the 45mm Inter is probably a better all-round use tyre and better for UK riding. But unfortunately the Grail officially only goes up to 42, so the 45 don't officially fit. So a real limitation of the Canyon Grail, which really isn't a gravel bike by today's standards, it's more of an all-road bike really. This is a great road bike with fat tyres, fast as you like, aerodynamic as well, and good gear range. This, in many ways, is a modern road bike, an all-road bike if you prefer. So some good first impressions on the brand new wheels and tyres. Stay tuned for more in-depth coverage when I test these wheels back home on more familiar trails and hopefully try the wider Inter tyre to see how that fares as well. And I'll put a link to the company website down below so you can find out more details on the rims and the tyres and get the prices in your region. But that is all today. You can see my video on the brand new group set, that's linked up above in that box right there. And of course, don't forget to subscribe by hitting that button right there. So I'll see you again very soon. Thank you so much for watching.